Welcome to the Business Finishing School Podcast. Stop the insanity, eliminate the chaos, bring simplicity, probability, and leverage as operating values into your business and personal life so you can do more, earn more, and improve your relationships. This is Business Growth Simplified. Here's your host, Business Finishing School founder, Rick Sapio.
All right, everyone, this is Rick Sapio. I am excited. We have a member of the program who's been in the program for almost 8 years, Marjorie Wildcraft. She's one of our most successful students. Actually, anybody who does the work and does the modules is a successful student. We hear feedback from so many people. Marjorie, welcome to the program.
Thanks so much, Rick. Yeah, and I will say, you've laid it all out, and it makes a huge world of difference, and it's just such it's a blueprint, and it works if you really put it in practice.
So tell everybody when you started, what the name of your business is, and what your catalyzing statement is.
The business was started in 2009. I started the Business Finishing School about 2012. The name of the company is the Grow Network Incorporated, and our catalyzing statement is homegrown food on every table. Our purpose is to stop the destruction of the earth and be a homegrown food on every table.
Yeah, I remember at one of the boot camps, I believe, you came up with a homegrown meal on every table, and that, kind of stopped everyone in their tracks. That's exactly what a catalyzing statement is supposed to be. It's supposed to emotionally hook with people. And prior to the call, when we were setting up, you had mentioned that since you've joined Business Finishing School, your revenue is up 10 times. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Prior to Business Finishing School, I was at it was like the glass ceiling they talk about. It didn't have anything to do with women. It was just, I was just having a hard time breaking out of 125, 127. Sometimes I got up to 140 or 147, but I just could never get past that threshold of that much income. And now, yeah, we're doing, a $1.25 million per year, and really every year we've been growing by about 10% in the last few years. So it's just made it's night and day difference between the business that I was running, prior to BFS and now.
Why do you think business owners like to complicate things?
Well, yeah, that's a dang good question, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know. And simplicity is something I just keep working on and continue to work on. And you get to one level and then you go, I could cut that out too. Yeah.
So it's interesting. We tell people just add water, just do the program. And I love when I'm on the phone with somebody who's just doing it, and you're up 10x and your life is simpler. One of the things I want to talk about is I think that you took the catalyzing statement exercise seriously, and you're one of the people that once you discovered what it was, you kept focused on it. When I see you online, I see that catalyzing statement over and over. It brings a smile to my face, not my ears. So I want to talk now about something that prompted this podcast. We have a module in the program called the 5,200% rule, how to consistently hire and attract talent. And part of the module, if you're following it step by step, is to send an email out to your community that says, who do you know like this? And you're looking to hire somebody. And Morgan got the email and he said, wow, someone's actually following our protocols here. They're following the program and they're actually putting the email that you suggested. So tell us about the 5,200% rule. How has it worked for you? What are you doing? And what difference has it made?
Yeah, I would say being able to have a team is the critical fundamental difference in my business. And I'm not alone in that. There was some survey done a little while ago, like 70% of the top CEOs or venture capitalists, and they say, what do you think is attribute to the success of a venture? Do you think it's the product or the marketing or the capitalization? And they all said, no, it's the management team. It's the people. And I live by that. And having a team of people that are fully aligned and that are really, extraordinary and competent and capable. Like I'm just a total believer in the 52% rule. It really is night and day difference between hiring somebody who's a B player versus somebody who's an A player. And you don't have to pay the A players that much more, actually. And you get so much more out of it, and your company is just so much more enjoyable to run. It's really fun. I'm around people that I love and that are doing great. I will say, I'll tell a story of when I first got into the business finishing school. The reason I was having such a hard time breaking out of the revenue caps I was in was because it was just me by myself with a few contractors. And I was really struggling with building a team. And I would say that of anything, that's the most important thing I've gotten out of the business finishing school. And I remember I went to the first boot camp, and I had only done a couple of the modules, and I heard about that in module 10, and I said, Rick, you came by the table, and I was like, Rick, I got to have that module. And you said, you can't have it, Marjorie. You have to do the other modules first. And I said, no, please, I've got to have it. And you said, no. And after doing the other modules, I completely understand why. Because you don't just go out and hire and retain people. There's all these other pieces that you need to put in place, and you really teach that excellently. Having a catalyzing statement that's real compelling, and having a mission that's real clear. Good people want to work in organizations where they know what they're working for and why they're working, and that's like almost one of the most fundamentals. But,
go
ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say one of the quotes directly out of the implementation guide is in a recent poll, and this is a Gallup poll of 5 million people. 60% of employees in America are either disengaged with their jobs or are working against their very own company. Only 40% are considered engaged employees. It is your duty to find the best employees who love serving your clientele and to put them in jobs that align with their abilities while maintaining systems to help them stay engaged in their jobs. The interesting sidebar to that Gallup poll is that when they went and interviewed the people who, hated their companies, they said, what would make you love your job? And the responses were very straightforward. I want to know what the company stands for. I want to know what my responsibilities are, what the objectives are of my role, and what the objectives are of the business. Real simple, straightforward stuff that every business should know.
Yeah, absolutely. And that, another cornerstone of that, which is also one of the modules, is management by objectives. How do you set that up so they know exactly what they're supposed to do? And then I also, of course, incorporate the 5 different ways to compensate people to keep them engaged and retained and long term. So, yeah.
And just so people know, the 5 ways that we encourage every company to pay every employee is a base living wage, a base salary, so to speak. Not, this hourly part-time stuff, it doesn't always work. And then, of course, you've got the next thing, which is benefits. People want to stay with you for a long time, but they need benefits. Great companies pay benefits. And if you don't think you can afford benefits, I would say then you probably aren't getting the top quality employee. The 3rd way to pay everybody is long-term, something long-term. If you're here for 10 years, we'll give you a bonus, or we'll buy you an insurance policy, or we'll buy you a ticket for a cruise, or whatever, something long-term that gets people staying with you. The next thing is a company-wide bonus for everybody. It's the same thing for everybody. It's something like at the end of the quarter, if the company achieves its objectives, everybody gets $500. So everybody's pulling the chariot in the same direction. And then lastly, something that's individual to that person, to their role. So, if you're talking about a salesperson, if you achieve your sales numbers, you'll get a bonus of X, or you'll get a percentage of the profit that you generate. And you can put those 5 pieces in any pay plan with any type of employee. And I've seen it done in all types of situations. So you're incorporating all 5 of those.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say benefits, I know most people immediately think of dental and medical and all that. And one interesting slant with the Grow Network is, actually the benefits we have, because, the health system is not something that we really advocate being involved with. We offer 1 hour a day is valid company work to be working into growing your own food and having your own garden and chickens and taking care of your food production. Another benefit is, access to all the latest cutting edge information on, homesteading, growing your own food, becoming more self-reliant. And then also whenever we get new products in, I say I need samples for all my team. So all my team is always getting to play with the new stuff. So benefits can be a lot more than just the cut and dried, medical stuff that most people think of, health insurance. So just to put that out there, you may have benefits for them that are not even going to cost you anything.
Yep, I love that. So you're aligning your benefit system with what the company stands for. And what she's talking about normal situations, or we use a PEO, Professional Employment Organization, which offers 401k and all the normal medical type benefits that you would expect. And it's almost like you're working for a massive Fortune 500 company when you use a PEO. If you don't know what that is, you can Google it. We use a company called TriNet. There's nothing in it for us, but that's who we use. They're New York Stock Exchange traded. But you could also be like Marjorie and align your catalyzing statement and your purpose with your benefits. And you seem to have attracted a very unique employee base, people that grow their own food. That's amazing. So we often say that the right catalyzing statement attracts emotionally the right people, and it's working for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll also say, having people grow food is a really great filter for employees in general, regardless of what industry you're in. Because, people who are growing food they're much more methodical and conscientious, because you are not going to be a random spontaneous person into gardening. That just doesn't happen. There are also people that have patience. So, you plant a garden, you're talking about usually 2 to 3 months before you're going to produce anything. We plant trees that could be anywhere from 5 to 10 years. So you have people that have a long-term commitment and are demonstrating that in their life. And then they're generally going to be healthier. And people who eat better food, there's reams and reams of studies that show that when you're eating high-quality food, you're sharper, you're more competent, capable. There's sort of all around much better employees. So, I kind of stumbled into that because that is my business. But it turned out to be just an excellent filter anyway for hiring for any industry.
I love it. So can you at a high level explain to everyone, when you're following Module 10, the 5,200% rule, how to consistently hire and attract talent? So that's Module 10 in BFS. Can you at a high level explain how you follow that and what you do?
Sure. The process, and we have a pretty well written out process. So first of all, is I go out to my networks and I say, hey, first of all, I come up with a very specific job description. That's a one sheet that outlines who it is we're looking for, what we're looking for them, and what they'll get out of it. And so we're very clear, and I even put the salary on the paper, because I don't no sense in going back and forth with questions. I mean, you know what you're going to pay this person. Put it out there, right? And then I start putting that out through my networks. And I have found over time that putting something up on like Craigslist or, the Indeed or all these other different monster boards, generally you are not going to get a lot of good candidates from that. And the other problem with that is those are people that are looking for a job. And a lot of time A players are not looking for jobs. Usually jobs come to them, and they usually aren't. First of all, they're never unemployed. So that's the wrong place. So you need to look in your networks. Ask people, and good people refer good people, right?
I need to throw something in right now. This is a common mistake that everyone makes, and I bump into this myself occasionally. Is when you ask somebody, "Do you know anybody that could fill this role?" Their brain goes like this, and you have to catch people. They go, "Who do I know that's looking? Who do I know that hates their job? Who do I know that hates their boss? Who do I know that wants a change?" And those types of people that your brain scans are the worst kind of people. What you actually need to ask your friends in your network is, who do you know that's kicking ass in their job? And you want to try to pry them loose.
Yeah.
Because someone who's kicking ass in their job is someone who's not a complainer. They're very positive. They're very motivated. But the people that complain about their boss or their company or their job, I hope everyone's listening carefully to this. Those people that complain are the ones that aren't doing enough to make the situation better. So they're victims. They're not the motivated people that you want.
That's true. Yeah. So that's why asking your network, and I ask, my network. I also go out to, we have an online community, so I ask my online community. And then I also go out to aligned communities, like there's a Facebook group in Texas for gardeners, and I post it up there because those are people that are already gardening, right, and growing food. And that's actually one of the criteria we have. In the one sheet, when I say, apply, I'll say send your resume in docx format to this email address. And that can eliminate like 70% of your work right there, because people who just send in, we call it the PDF rule. Anybody who sends in a PDF when I specifically ask for docx, I just don't even look at their email or respond to them in any way. It tells me right from the very beginning that they aren't able to follow directions.
Mm-hmm. And why do you want a docx as opposed to a PDF?
Just because resumes are most commonly put out in PDF.
Oh, you mean you want a PDF, not a docx? The other way around?
No,
yeah,
no.
gotcha.
I want a docx instead of a PDF, because I want something that's just a little bit different but real common, just to see if they're paying attention.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I also ask them to reply with a subject line, like, for example, I'm looking for administrative assistance now. It'd say administrative assistance dash your name. And so that's another thing I can look at. Did they put the right subject line in there? And so right away, from the very beginning, the very first contact they have with me, I'm starting to look at. So me personally, I need to be surrounded by a lot of detail-oriented people, because it's not my nature.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to have them. And the work I do, we're a distributed company. We're all in Texas, but we're all over Texas, and there's no water cooler. And you have to be very, very clear and specific in your communications when you run a distributed company. It's very different from when everybody is meeting together in the office. So how they communicate is super important. Another thing I look at, how did they label their resume? Was it just resume.docx, or was it, James Smith, 2020, January 1 docx, right? They're giving you a lot of information right from the beginning. And often just looking at those first few things, I can immediately X out about 70% of the resumes that come in just based on that.
Mm-hmm.
So just to give you an idea of the scope of this, normally I need to get about 100 candidates in to get it down to about 20 or 25 of them that I'm really excited about, that meet some of the first brush parameters.
Mm-hmm.
And once I've got them, I ask them to make a simple video, just a short video. I ask them like a couple of questions, like, why do you want this position? What one perk would motivate you like no other? Please keep it reasonable. And what's a dream or a goal that you have for yourself in your life? And we say, this is not, you don't need to edit it. You don't need to be dressed up. We're not looking at your video editing skills. We're just wanting to get a sense of who you are. You can do it on your phone and then put it as an unlisted video on YouTube and give us the link. We promise we won't broadcast it. But that, we can then get a little sense of who they are personally from those. And from those, we're continually weaning people out. If people respond saying, oh, I want this position because I just really need to pay off all my loans, I'm kind of like, that's, like, no, we don't need that person,
Mm-hmm.
So then we have just a series of telephone conversations, and these are conversations, some people go, oh my God, you've got 3 or 4 different appointments with them. Why do you make it so long and drawn out? And first of all, these are all the conversations you need to have. And second of all, I want to see the consistency. So a lot of people can get it together for the first phone call or the second phone call, but are they consistently there on time, and following directions throughout the whole process? You'd be surprised how many people I was so excited with in the beginning, and then they didn't show up for the second phone call or something,
And here's something interesting about this point. There's about 4 or 5 steps in the interview process here and with you. And I always find it interesting when someone says, man, you have so many steps in the interview process. And there really isn't that many, which is interesting. But don't you want to work for a company that's careful who they hire? It shocks me that people would go take their career and their livelihood and their time and invest it with someone who would hire them on one interview. I have a friend who's got an MBA from Stanford, and this is about 2 years ago now. I'll never forget, I met him for lunch, and he was excited. He said, "Hey, I'm working for a new healthcare company." I said, "Really? How'd you find the job?" Because it was really strange. They found me on LinkedIn. They did a phone interview, and they hired me the next day. And I said,
Cool.
"That'll last a month." And he said, "How did you know that?" And I said, "Because any company that would call you on LinkedIn and hire you in a $200,000 a year position in one call is not going to work out." Turns out that they were putting together a team in Dallas, and they hired 12 people all in one phone call, and none of the 12 worked out more than 1 month. So, I want to be working for a company that, first of all, sought me out, tried to talk me out of the position I'm in. And then once they even talked me out of it, they put me through a grueling process. Those are always the best situations.
That's exactly it. And there's conversations you want to have with them, and each phone call we have is different. On one of them, we dive deep into their resume, really get to know their background. On the next one, we go into what a whole bunch of our, we kind of open the kimono on the Grow Network and what we're doing and what our exciting projects are, what we're trying to sell them on it. Then we have another one on logistics and what it looks like to work here, what, the meetings you'll be expected to attend, all this stuff, and then the 5 methods of compensation and all this stuff. So there's a series of conversations you just want to have with people. I mean, like, that's all the information you would want to both know about each other. And I will, going back to that hiring somebody and having them leave in a month, you had told me when I first got into the school that, a hiring mistake is about a $500,000 mistake. And I just started laughing. I was like, I don't even make $500,000. Couldn't possibly be $500,000 mistake, And Lordy, I would tell you, it really is. And, their salary of what you're paying them is actually a small part of the lost opportunity cost or the wrong direction that director of marketing took you, or how much your director of operations just pissed off the rest of your team. I mean, there are so many other consequences to a mishire than just the money you're paying them. But I totally get it. It's a $500,000 mistake.
Yeah. Plus, as you said at the beginning, an opportunity cost. The right hire, the very best hire, might make you an extra couple of $100,000 or $1 million. You don't know. And so It's always best to hire the best person. So I'm looking at the clock and I'm realizing that Morgan is saying, keep the calls to under 25 minutes. So we are doing that. And Marjorie, you've been an incredible member of the community, and I love your no-nonsense style. Any final words as we wrap up this podcast?
I just want to say thank you, Rick. I mean, really, the school that you've created there, it's really cost effective and it absolutely works. It's just really well done. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in March, a couple of weeks from now.
Amen. If anybody wants to come to the event, so it's bfssummit.com, bfssummit.com, March 6th to 8th here in Dallas, 6 to 8 here in Dallas. We're having it again at the Marriott Quorum, which is a great convention hotel. And we most people come from way out of town, from the coasts. They fly in, they stay at the Marriott, they're fully present, they bring their spouse, their team. Some people bring their kids. The more the merrier, because you'll all be speaking the same language, the language of business. Thank you once again, Marjorie. We love your energy. We love how committed you are to the program. And I wish you continued success.
Oh, thanks, Rick.
Thank you for tuning in to the Business Finishing School podcast, where we teach you business growth simplified. For more information on Business Finishing School or their Business Growth Summit event, visit businessfinishingschool.com.